So 16a, we start the last chapter of the Athenista 1 book. In this chapter, we've seen the passive voice finally, so you've now seen three voices, the active, the middle, and the passive finally. Well, you've seen in the present and the imperfect in this chapter. Um, in this paragraph, as always, I've underlined the verbs in red, the participles in green. The one passive verb I've highlighted in yellow, and then its genitive of agent with hupo I've highlighted in yellow as well. So one thing I've highlighted in green, this is one of your vocab words, but it's also points to a grammar of the next chapter, of the next half chapter, 16b. Okay, so hutos paranas ton logon ho nautes katekato epi to katastromati, hode dikiapolis kai ho pilipos esigon panta tamazuntes haper. Okay, so therefore, thus, having finished, right, the note kind of gives it away. This is from Parino, just aorist participle. So therefore, thus, having finished the story, who, the nominative, right, Honautes, the sailor, Katekato. Okay, so Kamai is in your vocab list, but it's also in the grammar of 16b. These are verbs that are athematic in the present and the imperfect. Right, last chapter we saw some second aorist athematics. Right, these are verbs that are athematic in the present and the imperfect. So you see, there's no thematic vowel here before the to ending. Right, this is imperfect. Okay, so the sailor was lying epito katastromati on the deck. Right. Okay, day. Moving on to the next thing. Right, move this forward. Dikiapolis and Philip Esigon. Of course, we know what tense that is. Imperfect, right? A e augment secondary ending, but it's contracted, right? A and O made omega, so it's definitely imperfect. So they were quiet. Talmazonte is just a present participle, wondering at panta, all the things, haper, which relative pronoun, right? Per, we've seen that as a suffix in relative pronouns, intensifies it. Doesn't really affect the meaning that much here. We can just still go with which, but that's what per is doing, kind of makes it a little stronger than just ha. So wondering at everything which he said, right? Aorist from Lego, right? Irregular aorist, right? Second aorist. No, it's not regular, it's just second aorist. Telos, finally, de hopilipos hos Andreos epe emakanto ho Helenes hos lampros toi sumakois egunto hoi atenaioi. Okay, so finally Philip said, how bravely, right? OS, omega S, an adverb. The Greeks were fighting, right? This is an imperfect. This is imperfect of makamai. Uses the first aorist, so it's an imperfect. So the Greeks, how bravely the Greeks were fighting. Hos, my prose, brilliantly, right? Remember hos with a positive adverb, just how, like it was with Andreas here, right? So how brilliantly they were leading. Another imperfect, right? You notice the contraction. How brilliantly they were leading the allies. Remember, you lead or follow in the dative. Who? The Athenians. So, how bravely the Greeks were fighting, okay, and how brilliantly the Athenians, hoi Athenaioi, were leading the allies. Right? So, two things here. So, finally, Philip said, okay, he said how bravely this nominative was doing this verb, the Greeks were fighting, and how brilliantly the next nominative, the Athenians, their verb, were leading the allies, right? Because egeomai takes a dative. Sude, so moving on. You, ti epoies, meta ton polemon, right? So what were you doing after the war, right? Meta plus an accusative is after. This is imperfect again. See the EIS, it kind of looks like a present tense ending, but it has an E augment, so it's not present tense. So this is actually a contraction of the E of poieo, E contract, and the ES ending, and E and E gives us EI, so this is actually a contraction, so that's a clue that it's imperfect. right? The E augment also tells me it's something in the past. So what were you doing after the war? Ara emperos genomenos in hokasin eples. So ara, just introducing a question. Genomenos, right? Aorist participle, gignomai. So having become a merchant, were you sailing in merchant ships, right? Gives it to you down here. Another imperfect. Hode, and he, right? The they again moves us on. He said, Udamos, not at all. Ugar etel etelotisen ho polemos, ala polun etikronon ede prostus barbaros makastai. Okay. So, and he said, Udamos, not at all, for ho polemos u etelotisen. It did not end. The war did not end. Right? So he said, no, no way, not at all. For the nominative, ho polemos, the war, u etelotisen, did not end. Right, just first aorist here, right? From teletao. But, right, it was necessary. Accusative of extended time. Or accusative of time is for how long. So it was necessary for much time, eti yet or still. So it's necessary for much time still, or still for much time, Makasai to fight pros tus barbaros against the barbarians. Pasaite gar hainesoi kai pasai he ionia hupo ton barbaron eti ekonto. Okay, so for, right? We'll start with the post positive. Gar for because. Tekai, so we're linking things here, right? So both all the islands and all of Ionia, Akonto, right? Up to now is look to middle, but now you know there's an option. And the fact that you have a Hupo Tom Bavaron is a big clue that's probably going to be passive. Right? So this is actually passive. Right? The middle wouldn't make as much sense in translation. That's also a good clue. Right? So for both all the islands and all of Ionia, still were held, right? This is the imperfect passive. Were held, were being held, Hupo Tom Bavaron, by the barbarians. Right? So that's the genitive of agent. Hupo plus a genitive by the barbarians, right? With a passive verb, that's going to be by the agent, the one doing the action. All right, so go ahead and wrap up the rest of the translation and we'll go over it.